I've been making fresh pasta, and I thought I'd make a video showing how I assemble the machine and how I use it, because they work really well if you are willing to work around all their quirks. So I'm going to try to put it together. That goes in there. I don't bother to put this in until towards the end. Pop that down there. This goes in like that. Tighten that down. And this thing goes in there to stop. That makes it so when this is spinning around, I don't know if you can see the dough doesn't fall down in until you're ready to start extruding. So I'm just going to make enough for me. I like mostly semolina flour. I got a couple tablespoons of regular white flour, but that's Bob's Red Mill semolina. Nice. I think it tastes much better with that. And I like it better with egg. I'm just going to drop an egg in there. And then 10-15 minutes of that awful noise. So I'm just going to let that happen. One of the quirky things about this, let me shut it off for a second. When you slide this in, it leaves little cracks in the bottom, and there's dry flour in there, and that dry flour will get pushed down through the cracks and it'll fall in here. Most people have it assembled and they don't see the flour in there. Then when they start to extrude the pasta, that dry flour comes out, plugs everything up, and ends up breaking their machine. So that's why I leave the auger out, is I'll let this run for a little while and then I'll take a look in here, and there'll be, well, there's already a flour in there. Okay, this still needs to knead longer. It's just been kneading a couple of minutes, but I wanted to show you the texture. So it's not very wet. Oh, and by the way, I'm making a really small amount. This is just for me. I'm not making enough for a bunch of people. This will give me maybe 2 meals worth. But you can see it's not super wet. This is just a little wetter than it needs to be, but it's still, you can see there's still dry stuff in there. It needs to mix for another 5-10 minutes to absorb all that moisture. So another 10 minutes, and meanwhile, while it's mixing, I'll be preparing some vegetables and getting the water on a boil, because I don't know about your stove, but it takes a while for me to get a pot of water boiling. So back to the noise. Okay, it's been mixing a little while longer, and that's about the texture you want. It's actually a little wet. A little wetter. The recipe in the book would say dry like wet sand, and this is much wetter than that, but I find if you really do it like the book, like the instruction book, it's too dry and it'll end up breaking the machine. This is a little wetter than I usually do it, but this will work. When it's this wet, you get these big clumps like that, and the big clumps won't go through the hole in the bottom, but this little thing here is a spring-loaded paddle that kind of pushes everything down through the hole. I'm still going to let it go for a little longer. I'm still waiting for the water to boil. And also, by the way, this is the smaller machine. I've got the bigger machine too, but I'm making such a small batch. This machine, normally you'd put 4 or 6 times as much flour and egg in as I did. I just making a little batch for myself. And this little machine works well making small batch, but the big machine, you almost need to make 2-3 pounds of pasta for it to even work. And it just sits there and it's doing that. That little paddle on the bottom acts a little bit like a roller. It squishes the pasta down against the bottom. Alright, 5-10 more minutes of that. Okay, I've got some olive oil and butter getting hot in the pan. I got my water boiling, and I got purple cabbage, fresh basil, red peppers, onions, mushrooms, asparagus, and some black olives. And I'm just going to throw all that in here. And I didn't have any fresh parsley, so I'm going to use a little dried parsley. Normally I would put zucchini and summer squash in here too, but I don't have any on hand today. A little bit of fried parsley. Salt and pepper. I like salt. Lots of people say it's not good for you, but I love it. Yeah. I also love butter, and I don't think you can have too much butter in this. So, there. Just going to let that saute for a little bit. Okay, so back to the pasta machine. I've taken my auger and dunked it in the hot water to warm it up and rubbed it in olive oil. And I can slide it in there. Now, normally I'd have the machine running right now, but it makes so much noise, just for the sake of the video, I turned it off. Somewhere I've got a wrench for that. While it's doing that, I'm stirring the vegetables. Noodles as long as you want or as short as you want. There's no rocket science to this part, but because it's fresh pasta, you're not going to be cooking it for 5 or 10 minutes like you do dried pasta. This is only going to be in here a minute, maybe 2 tops. And from there it's going to go into saute in some butter with the vegetables. And so I want it kind of al dente, and just trying to keep it, make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom. Veggies are simmering in butter, and I just strained the pasta. And did I mention I like butter? So I'm throwing in some butter. And I'm going to grate some cheese. I'm going to put more cheese on it when I put it on my plate, but I like a little cheese to get melted in the pan. You can have this hot enough and actually crisp up the noodles if you like pan-fried noodles. I don't usually do that. I usually turn the heat off by now and just want the flavors to marry a little bit, so the vegetables and pasta. Alright, I'm going to open a bottle of white wine, and this is my lunch. Hope you enjoyed that.